Did you know that being a nice person can actually work against you? Now think about what it takes to be a good collaborative employee. There's nothing wrong with that. Getting along with others is a good thing. It's good to be nice to one another. It's certainly good to be nice to the boss. And there are a lot of nice, kind, gentle, good people that we work with every single day. In my experiences in work, I've met a lot of nice people, and I think there are more nice people than not so nice people. Now let's assume most of you watching this are good, nice people, and you're promoted to leadership. What happens then? Well, my story was suddenly my niceness worked against me. It didn't feel very good to hold people accountable. In fact, I got fearful at times. I feared that if I came down too hard on people, they'd quit, or I'd have to eventually fire them if they didn't get better. I mean, it just didn't feel nice. It felt very parental. And I had kids at home. I didn't need to be a parent at work as well. And so my niceness was working against me. And I suspect for many of you, you'll acknowledge that you too have NPS. That's the name I gave this. I found it so common, I gave it a name. NPS stands for Nice Person Syndrome. The Nice Person Syndrome is when you hold back out of fear, out of concern, because it doesn't feel nice to hold people accountable. It doesn't feel good to give them a reprimand. And it certainly doesn't feel good to have that four-letter word come into play that none of us like, fire. Firing people is not a lot of fun. I suspect most of you watching this are a card-carrying member of the Nice Person Syndrome Club. And I want to help you counter this today. And why is that important? And why is it important in the context of hiring? Well, number one, if you're going to make sure that hiring is a strategic imperative and doing it fast is a strategic imperative, you're going to have to hold people accountable to this. You're going to have to make sure that they're doing the things they're supposed to do. And if they don't, your Nice Person Syndrome could kick in. But it's bigger than that. You have to hold people accountable for many things. And if you have Nice Person Syndrome, which I suspect you probably do, like me, you're going to need to counter it. So, how do you counter your Nice Person Syndrome? Well, let's look at step one. First thing you have to do is you have to acknowledge it. How do you do that? You own the fact that you have Nice Person Syndrome. So how do you know? Well, if you hold back on holding people to task, if you make excuses and justify why they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and if you delay reprimands or terminations, you have some degree of Nice Person Syndrome. So just acknowledge it. It's incurable. It's going to stay with you. And why is that? Because niceness is not a bad thing. You just have to counter the parts of it that work against you as a leader. And that's what leads us now to step two. You have to start treating accountability as an act of compassion, because it is. If you don't hold people accountable, and if you don't start thinking about accountability as an act of compassion, you are culpable. You're culpable when they fail to follow through. Look, you're not responsible for the fact that they didn't follow through, but you contributed to it. It is an act of compassion to help people stay on track. You're contributing to their success versus contributing to their demise. And now, that leads us to step three. Keep in mind from now on that you're not responsible for your first thought, but you are responsible for your next action. As a Nice Person Syndrome card-carrying member, my first thought sometimes when it comes to accountability is, yuck. I don't want to hold that person accountable. I don't want to issue that reprimand. I don't want to put him or her on a performance action plan of any kind, but I need to do it anyway. So your first thought as a nice person may be, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to do this. You're not responsible for that. You've been practicing your niceness for quite a long time. Instead, all you're responsible for is your next action, and that is to treat accountability as an act of compassion. You have to remind yourself, if I don't hold them accountable, that's not very nice either. I'm contributing to their demise. And if you reframe it in this way, that next action will be that act of compassion. So, congratulations on being nice, and congratulations on countering Nice Person Syndrome. Because if you do that, you can keep hiring on track. Fast hiring can be the reality. You'll hold people to task to doing what they're supposed to do, and your accountability all over the organization will be better because it's not heavy-handed. You're always going to be a nice person. You're just treating your niceness as an act of compassion combined with accountability because you've countered your nice person syndrome.